So, my birthday falls on May 11th every year. Duh. But the thing is that because it's always falling on May 11th, it's always like right next to Mother's Day. Sometimes it is on Mother's Day. And I remember growing up, I even had a friend who also shared the same birthday on May 11th. And her thing was that her birthday must always come first because if it wasn't for her birthday, for her birth, then her mother wouldn't have a Mother's Day. Now, I learned, one, to not hang out with that person, but two, the idea that, not just if your birthday is close to Mother's Day, but your birthday in general isn't just a day that's special to you, but it's also special to your mom because that's the day she had you. And especially if you're a firstborn, then that's technically the day that she did become a mom. So it's not really just about you, it's also about her. So with it being close to Mother's Day, I decided to ask you guys on Twitter what the list of your favorite moms are, your favorite movie moms, the mother figures that have stood out to you guys, and you guys came in stacked. So I'm going to be reading off some of the ones that were your guys' favorites, and then talk about the scene that defined motherhood for me, since no one picked that one. Aunt May did get a little bit of love, which I 100% agree with. Aunt May is the perfect motherly figure. I just find it interesting that it was a specific Aunt May. It was Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, because she's clearly a mother I'd love to film. The mom from the Babadook is probably the one I give the most props to, because in the movie, she's dealing with a demon. And somehow her kid is worse. So I gotta give that movie a lot of props because it's not like my favorite movie. I like the metaphors that are in the movie. It's just one of those that I cannot watch again because of how horrendous it is, how annoying it is. And that's the whole point of it. We got a little series here of tweets. Some people mentioning Arquette, Patricia Arquette from Boyhood, who I think is a fantastic mom because she took 12 years to film this movie. But for her, I actually think this is where it works because she is like the one actress, and she has said this herself. She was risking seeing all of her physical changes and the things she went through in her personal life on screen, and I think it delivered, and I really like her closing line in the movie that she has with her kid when he goes off to college. Dancer in the Dark is a movie that I actually recently saw. I think the editing is really weird. It's very jarring. Not going to be for everyone, but the revelation that the third act ending stuff, mother material right there. Octavia Spencer in Fruitvale Station, it's very good. The Bride from Kill Bill, which I am still of the belief that there's going to be a follow-up with, from the little girl's perspective that Vivica A. Fox had, and she's going to come back and want revenge, and we're going to get like a whole nother trilogy or double volume thing coming up. A bunch of you had mentioned the mom from Mean Girls, Princess Leia, and her wonderful child who tried to kill his uncle and then his father, Mother Earth. Martha! And then the mom from Home Alone, who sucked at taking care of her son, but she gave birth to a creature who entertained us for several years. I think the actresses who got the most love were Toni Collette, who not only got some love for The Sixth Sense, Little Miss Sunshine, but you guys haven't even seen Hereditary yet, and that movie's gonna blow you guys away. Another actress was Frances McDormand, who had a bunch from Almost Famous to Fargo, and of course 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, since a lot of people resonated with that idea of a mother who would do anything to get her daughter back, who recognized her mistakes, who made mistakes along the way, and pretty much learned the lesson of forgiveness, because that's what the movie was about, not a KKK propaganda. Laurie Metcalf from Lady Bird is still one of the ones that I still contemplate. Like, she should have gotten the gold for it. It's probably, and I loved I, Tanya's role. I think, the performance was good, but I feel like she stood out a lot more, not only throughout the whole movie, but I don't know if you guys have seen those Lady Bird memes of what if this is the best version of me. I think they're fantastic, not just because they're funny, but because they resonate. Elastigirl easily got the most overall. It was incredible how much you guys love this girl right here, but somehow, not as much as Screen Rant loves using her in their thumbnails. Screen Rant, what are y'all doing? Some woman named Mrs. Weasley got a love too. I don't know what franchise she's from or something, but she's stuck with you guys. I thought the action pics were pretty dope. Sarah Connor being a mother who's like in 40 different timelines definitely stands out. Ridley being a mother in space definitely stands out. And the most action-packed mother of them all is obviously the mother from The Room.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
The unconventional picks I also thought were really interesting because I know not a lot of people would consider the mom from the Florida Project as being mom of the year, but she still had a connection with her daughter. The same with the mom from Moonlight, Rockets with Groot, Norma Bates, I guess, with Norman, and of course Stifler's mom with everybody. Now, my personal favorites, before I mention the scene in particular, so some of you mentioned Sky High, the mom from Sky High, and completely ignored Mrs. Cortez. If we're talking about superhero moms, my personal favorites, some had mentioned Brie Larson from Room, who I think is probably one of the most recent standouts. I would even go back to mentioning Erin Brockovich, who's based off of a true story, and I think it's a really good movie adaptation. But the scene that stood out to me is from a movie called Force Majeure. It's a movie called Force Majeure, but there's a specific scene that really brings it together for me and something that happens in it. So I highly recommend watching the movie. It's slower for those of you who don't mind that or need that warning, but here's why it stands out to me. In the movie, you pretty much have a family who was out on a trip in the mountains when a controlled demolition happens during breakfast. Family somehow didn't get the memo, so when the harmless debris approaches them as they're eating, they freak out. But the thing is, the wife stays to guard her kids like a bear would, while the dad Marshawn lynches himself out of there. Of course, that's because of his force majeure, that natural impulse that he reacts upon when a godly event happens, and that obviously makes the movie very awkward, because now the wife questions her husband, the kids don't see the dad the same way, dude's ego is completely demolished like Kanye in rehab, but it sets up a scene where the mom comes up with something that really stood out to me, because on the last day of their trip, they, in a sense, fabricate something where the mom pretends like she's in trouble when they're going down a slope, so the dad can fabricate the idea of him being a hero and go out to rescue her so that he can look like a hero again to his kids. It's a very small scene that happens in the movie, a climax scene in my opinion, but it really shows that sacrifice. And I'm not one to say, obviously, as a guy who, I want to grow up and say that I don't have that force majeure reaction to my kids. But as someone who grew up, I know that idea of a mom staying and a dad going. And the sacrifices, as the scene shows, that as the family starts falling apart, that the mom is still the one who puts her own ego, her own pride to the side in order to fix the family relationship and fabricate something like this, a lie, to not only make her husband feel better, but to fix the relationship with the kids. Even the ending scene on the bus where the bus driver's going crazy and she flips out and goes out, it's a movie that has a bunch of different theories and it covers a bunch of different subjects, which is why I highly recommend it. But to me, in that particular moment, I feel that that's then her fabricating something for the husband. The husband was in on it with the slope scene on pretending to be a hero. Here is her setting up a scenario for him to fully feel like a hero. I know that there are some theories saying that no, this is her force majeure, now it's her flaking out. A crazy bus driver versus a freaking avalanche. I don't see her flaking out in that scene, which is why I think it's her again doing another sacrifice, and which is why it stands out to me because, it's showing the biggest thing that mothers do. Sacrifice. Being willing to put their whole past, their ego, everything away because they're really focusing on raising these kids, and they end up sacrificing a huge portion of their lives for someone who will eventually just leave them so they can start their own. And that's why I think they deserve more than just one day. Thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, a big shout out to the patrons and for you guys for watching. 2 comments down below. One, I'm curious to not only know your favorite movie mom if it wasn't mentioned or even a personal thing, but in collaboration with Marcus Theaters, always big shout out to Marcus Theaters as well. I want to be able to hook you guys up if you are in the Chicagoland area with tickets, free tickets to be able to take your mama out on Mother's Day. If you missed it this year, don't worry, there's always next year, probably be doing it again. But all you have to do is comment down below Marcus Theaters and the movie you want to see. There's movies like Tully and there's a new one, Breaking In. Those are the 2 that we're really pushing out there. So if you want free hookup tickets to go see a movie with your mom, with the A to Z show sending you there, just comment down below Marcus Theaters, that movie you want to see if you're in the Chicagoland area. And, if you're not or don't want to see any of those, tune in next week. I think we got Deadpool.